This is the final episode in our 3-part series. You can find links to the first and second episodes in the description below. Ramji, welcome back to the podcast.
Namaste. Masters are inspiration, not models. If you start mimicking them, you'll be lost forever. Poison and amrita are same. How you take it, that's a different.
Mercury is supposed to be poisonous?
Yeah, but if it is treated well, it becomes amrita. If you ask Tantra to derive an equation, Tantra will say C, consciousness, equals to energy, Ananda, equals to matter. That becomes Nada, Bindu and Kala, Shiva, Shakti and Prapancha. If you talk about Brahmananda as the Supreme, have you ever experienced Jagadananda, which is the worldly pleasure? Shankara was perplexed. He said no. Then she asked, if you didn't get a chance to enjoy that, how can you state Brahmananda is the highest joy? You cannot attain moksha when you're dead. It's not a certificate you get issued after your death. If you badmouth about another one, you're taking their karma. The more people get badmouthed, will fly high. Their karma is less. Shiva is called as Nada, sound, the first sonic vibration. He is also called as light, by which Tantra makes a point, sound and light are same. What is the present take of sound and light? Go to thermodynamics and all those things and you'll find they are talking in the same language of Mahamaheshwara Abhinavaguptacharya. Death is the biggest question. There's no answer. It's the question ever unanswered.
So in today's podcast, we are back again with Dr. R. Ramanand. In the first episode, he spoke about different topics like the origin of Tantra, how the history of Bharat is connected to Tantra and various other interesting topics. I highly recommend that you watch the first episode. And in today's episode, we'll be looking at many more interesting topics and also the questions that have come from you, those who have watched the first episode. And if you want to receive a special package of the best clips from podcast 1 and 2, we will send it directly to your WhatsApp. Simply message Tantra to this number and you will receive it. And you can keep in touch with us directly. So let's begin. Ramji, what does a tantric mean by consciousness? And are there different levels of consciousness?
Earlier, psychologists were dealing with consciousness, right? In the beginning, it was philosophers. Then psychologists came dealing with consciousness. Now you know who is dealing with consciousness? Physicists. This is how now physics is dealing with consciousness. Trying to understand what is consciousness. Earlier it was philosophers. So all the philosophies in India were discussing about consciousness. Definitely Tantra is also revolving around the concept of consciousness. For Tantra, in Tantra, even if it is Shaiva or Shakta, we find consciousness as the central point of our practice. So if you ask me to define consciousness, it is called as Chaitanya or Chid. So it is the supreme state of Shiva, from which entire universe evolved. So consciousness is not just consciousness, but it has got a radiance of consciousness. So the radiance of consciousness is called as Chidrubini Shakti. So that is the radiance of consciousness. That is bliss or Ananda. So the idea of Tantra regarding consciousness is Chidananda. Chidananda Ghana Rupa. Consciousness, bliss, condensate in the modern language. In consciousness, the power to create also resides. So consciousness is without any movement, without any throb. If I hold my fingers like this is zero, aspanda, right? Aspanda. Aspanda means without any throb. If I make this, spanda comes out. If I hold my fingers like this, you cannot see anything. This is not moving, immobile, static, but definitely it holds a great capacity to make the throb. It resides in that. So consciousness is impregnated with a creative pulsation, which is called as Spanda Shakti, which we call as Shakti Devi. She moves out, pushes consciousness comes out, pushes the consciousness to come out. And the first throb is called as Shiva. And the force which pushes Shiva out is called as Shakti. And our Atma is nothing but consciousness itself. Chaitanyam Atma, which is the first sutra of Shiva Sutra. And the entire evolution of the universe is an interplay between consciousness and Shakti. And it gets translated as matter. So Einstein gave a very revolutionary equation which shook the world about the idea about the secrets of energy and matter. That is E is equal to mc square. E is equal to m, small m, c square. The velocity of the light squared. That is energy. And where we can find a theory of everything with E is equal to mc square, we can explain how the universe was created in one way. How energy becomes matter and how matter can become energy, which is the regular transaction happening in the world, cosmos.
Oh.
If you ask Tantra to derive an equation or append it with Einstein's equation, Tantra will say C, the big C, consciousness, equals to energy, Ananda, equals to matter. That becomes Nada, Bindu and Kala, Shiva, Shakti and Prabanja, Pragasha, Vimarsha and Prakasha Vimarshamaya. And the entire creation, if you call it creation, entire cosmos is nothing but Shiva and Shakti together reflected on the mirror of Shakti. This is the entire idea of Tantra, which will look a little complex, but if you try to understand it, it is conversing to modern physics, particle physics and quantum physics, if you look into that. It's very nuanced. So, if scientists want to explore consciousness in a much more deeper way, definitely they have to understand the understanding of Tantra about consciousness. I'm not just bluffing about this. I'll just give an example. I'm just bringing physics and modern physics into that. People might think that this is nothing, he's just trying to play with words and put theories into this. And I'll give an example. Tantra Loka, written by Abhinavagupta Mahabharata, a 10th century text, if you date back to 950 was his time, which was written at a period where physics was not even a discipline. Don't think about scientists. Physics was not even a discipline then. There are 2 chapters in Tantra Loka. I think it is 7th and 8th chapters, or 8th or 9th. In that range, 7 or 8. I think 7 and 8. The chapters are named after time and space. Kaladva and Deshadva. Tantra is a philosophy which speaks about time and space. Not in mundane terms, but in very higher dimensions. It talks about the spiral nature of time. It talks about how space is created and how space comes into existence. How both of these are hurdles in the path of spiritual progression, which deals with high-end philosophies. In the modern language, high-end science. Like that. Tantra is a very, if you look at the very age-old tantras like Malini Vijayotara Tantra and all, which Abhinavagupta himself have commented on, we can see Shiva is called as Nada, sound, throb, the first sonic vibration. He is also called as light, by which Tantra makes a point, sound and light are same. What is the present take of sound and light? If you look at it closely, go to thermodynamics and all those things, and you'll find they are talking in the same language of Mahamaheshwara Abhinavagupta Acharya. So it's an all-encompassing theory which converts to your daily life, at the same time converts to the higher things. You can do a puja here and you can make science out of it. Such a theory of everything. If you ask me how will I define Tantra, I'll say that it's theory of everything.
But a few people could dismiss this as pseudoscience.
Yeah, let the people dismiss it, but they have to read it and tell. You just don't go by explanations, interpretations. You read the principal text. Read it for yourself and find if it is pseudoscience or not. That is the primal Indian thought which revolves around the secrets of the cosmos, which delves into the realms of energy, matter and consciousness. We cannot dismiss it at all. We might dismiss, but as I said, foreign universities might study on it and get doctorates, get Nobel Prizes. Newton was not born. Physics was not even a discipline. Stephen Hawking was not born. The people who talked about time and space were not there when Abhinavagupta wrote Tantra Loga. And Tantra Loga is not the first text talking about time and space. Tantra Loga is actually a sara, an essence of the Tantras, which Abhinavagupta have studied. This is called Tantra Loga, light on Tantras. It's like a light. With this light, you can see the Tantras. So think of the agamic corpus.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the levels of consciousness?
Yeah, there is no levels for consciousness. If you look at the levels beneath consciousness, we can talk about it. So, the state of mind, psyche, from perceivable to the supreme state, can be divided into 5 distinct levels. First level is of Jagrat, the awakened state. Not awakened in the terms of enlightenment, but
I'm awake now.
yeah, like that. So what is that state? How will you define it? How can you say that you are awake now? You are not sleeping. You are interacting.
Interacting, yes.
You are interacting in the sense your senses are taking impressions into your mind, and your mind is processing. Your intellect is classifying it as what sort of knowledge it is, and your ego is again classifying it into yours and others. So it's a play of your 5 senses and your andhakaranas. The 3 senses which are inside: mind, ego and intellect. This is the explanation of awakened state. The next state is Swapna. Swapna is dreaming state, dream state. how will you define dreaming state?
Impressions inside the mind which are playing without.
Yeah. Which means your 5 senses are sleeping. But your andakarana is still awake. And it is working on the impressions already perceived by your 5 senses. This is dreaming state. Next state is sleeping state, sushupti. That's why we normally when we wake up in the next morning, and if it was a dreamful sleep, you'll feel tired. Because you were not sleeping. You were in the dreaming state. An activity was going on. Next is sleep. That is sushupti, nidra, sushupti. What is that? How will you define it?
Even antakaranas have.
Even andakaranas have stopped working. And you go into deep sleep. You don't remember anything. Okay? All those sort of activities are over. And you go into deep sleep. That is sushupti. Another is turiya. The first level of awakening. That is the real state of awakening, where you understand the rest 3 states beneath turiya were a kind of sleep. And you realize you are not that. I'll tell an example. This is from China. Chuang Tzu was a great master. So Lao Tzu, Chuang Tzu, Marpa, Tilopa, there were so many masters, and this was a Taoist. This is a Taoist story. Chuang Tzu was sleeping, and he woke up after the sleep, and he started laughing boisterously. His disciples asked him, "Why are you laughing like this? What happened to you?" No, I was dreaming. So what is there to laugh? Everyone gets dream. Was it a funny dream? No, it was not a funny dream. Now when I look at it, it's very funny. Then one disciple asked, "Can you please explain what was the dream?" Chuang Tzu said, "While sleeping, I was dreaming as a butterfly. And I was happily fluttering all around the garden, going from one flower to another, taking the nectar. I never realized I am Chuang Tzu. I was a butterfly then. My existence was all forgotten. It was not coming into my consciousness. I was a happy butterfly. And now I am awake. And I realized I am not butterfly but Chuang Tzu." The disciple said, "Yeah, that's how it happens. So what is there to laugh?" No, I am just thinking, am I really Chuang Tzu dreaming as the butterfly, or butterfly dreaming as Chuang Tzu? How can I differentiate it? This is a very important story where we can explain to the estate. When you are really awake, then you really understand you were not that person whom you believe to be, like the butterfly. So that is the Turiya state. And you can remember 2 things. That is, you were the same person when you were dreaming. You are still the same person when you are awake. Like in Tantra, we call it as pratyabhijna, pradi abhijna. Pradi means reverse. Abhijna, jna means to know. It is recognize. It is recognize. You are recognizing you are Shiva. And you were acting as Ankit, or Ramanand, or Rishika. When you awake to your Shivahood, you can understand You were Shiva when you were acting as Ankit and Rishika, but you were not understanding that then. Like Chuangsu didn't understand, he was Chuangsu. But when awake, Chuangsu understood, he is Chuangsu, and while dreaming as a butterfly, still he was Chuangsu. This is the Turiya. And Turiya Adida is a state where such impressions are also lost. Gone.
That is the next stage.
That's the next stage. It's in fact a stateless state. The supreme merging. So from Shiva, you have reached up to the point of Shiva. From Shiva it is Parasamvit, the throbless face, the unmoved state, the Spanda state. These are the levels, if you ask me so. And to achieve these levels, we have 4 means to achieve. We call it as Anavobhaya, Shaktobhaya, Shambhavobhaya, and at the end it is Anupaya. Anavobhaya is the lower most level of any sadhana. You do an idol worship. There is a thing you have to rely upon. You have to focus upon. You have to meditate upon. You have to do puja upon. Temple worship, idol worship. All those things comes in the category of Anavobhaya. Body is an important thing. It's not necessary to you should go to the temple. You can do sadhana on your body. You're focusing here. This part, Kandakuba. Throat or heart or Nabhi, navel. These are the 3 Dwadashantas in Vijnana and Bhairava Tantra. Still it's Anavobhaya. You're relying on a subject, an object. And if you are relying on a mental impression, that is Shaktobhaya. You're taking it inside, internal.
It's the next level, or they go in parallel?
That's the next level. Definitely it's the next level. And from Shaktobhaya, on top of it, it is Shambhavobhaya. You reach the level of consciousness. So if you term it as body, mind and consciousness. Those are the levels. You cannot jump from Anavobhaya to consciousness. You have to go through Shaktobhaya and then you have to reach at Shambhavobhaya. And when you reach Shambhavobhaya, it works in the level of consciousness. And after that, there is a levelless level. Pathless path it is called. It is called as Anupaya. There is no upaya. You are into that.
That means that person has reached that stage. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, you don't have any rituals, you don't have any scriptures. You are not relying on any scriptures, on any masters, on any traditions. But scriptures will rely upon you. Masters will rely upon you. That's the state. Yeah, realized. This is the Anupaya state.
So can a practitioner or a sadhak reach this level without practicing these or skipping these levels?
No, never.
So you're saying idol worship could be one of the basic stages?
Indeed. When I talk about it, people will find it different. Because there are philosophies which denounces idol worship. Mostly who are into object worship, those old kind of things. Or they are into the internal worship only. But for a layman, it's not easy to do that. If somebody has achieved that state of the high state of playing with the consciousness and moving up, we believe in the cycle of birth and rebirth. Right? So, if you look at him, it's not something he achieved in this life. He has gone through the levels of practice in his previous births. That's why he has reached at a place where he can directly play with the consciousness. looking at him, we should not make a conclusion, oh, he reached there, I can also do this. No, that's not the case. Masters are inspiration, not models. Masters are inspiration, not models. If you start mimicking them, you'll be lost forever.
We have to start from where we are, right?
Yeah. Ramakrishna's first experience of samadhi happened while he was walking through a field. He found some white storks flying in the foreground of a nimbus cloud, dark nimbus cloud. That was a contrast. He just looked at it and he attained Bhav Samadhi. It may be a regular sight for many people. Nobody attained Bhav Samadhi. Seeing that. Buddha attained Mahasamadhi under the Bodhi. Since then people are going and sitting under the Bodhi. Bodhi tree might be thinking, why this fellow is sitting under me? Buddha has gone through a lot of phases in his life. We are seeing at a particular, we are looking at a master in a definite time frame where he attained enlightenment. And we think that this was the thing which gave him enlightenment. We are not ready to understand the trajectory of a spiritual progression, which took years of mastery, effort. We are not looking into that. We think that under the Bodhi anyone will get enlightenment. Buddha got. Since then people are going and sitting under the Buddha tree. The Bodhi tree. Some might get enlightenment while doing sex. That doesn't mean that sex can bring enlightenment. Even Vajrayana Buddhists think so. Buddha's enlightenment was during the act of sex. Some Vajrayanis think so. Duncan Oliver has written a book on Buddha off record. It talks about this aspect. Like that. A ripe fruit will fall with a gentle breeze. The process of ripening is sadhana.
So you spoke about Ramakrishna. It is said that he tried many religions. He tried Islam, he tried Christianity. It is also said that he was a tantric of a very high order. Is it true?
Ramakrishna was a tantric. Ramakrishna was a tantric of very high order. Very few belongs to his league. Ramakrishna, if you look at the life sketch of Ramakrishna, you can see which is very much connected with the religious geography of Bengal. The religious geography of Bengal, if you look at it more closely, the land was fertile with different streams of traditions. Sahajiya Vaishnavism at one hand, which was nourished by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Achindya Veda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was all into dance and singing and all. And he made people see Krishna. And it is believed that Chaitanya was an incarnation of Krishna himself. Happily singing and dancing in the streets. And the tradition of Jayadeva coming from Odisha. The Gita Govinda and all those things. So Sahajiya Vaishnavism, Sahajiya Buddhism was very much prominent in Bengal. Sufism had a very great impact on Bengal. Bauls, the baul singing, baul singing, right? They are also Sahajiyas in one way. Shaiva currents, Shakteya currents, the Kali of Bengal and all those. Krishna's, apart from Chaitanya's Vaishnavism, the Krishna consciousness, not talking about ISKCON, I'm talking about the Radha Krishna love and all, bhakti movement in one way. So Islam and Christianity, as it was British rule, and the impact of missionary fathers and Christianity and all those things were there. So the land of Bengal was fertile with different traditions and philosophies. Roland observes, Ramakrishna, if I remember it correctly, Ramakrishna was a rare branch on Chaitanya tree which could blossom rarest of the rarest flowers. Definitely it was proved. Vivekananda was one among them, Abhedananda was one among them, the entire Ramakrishna order of monks. We can find luminaries, Siddhadadananda, Rangadhadananda, Abheda, so many, Buddhananda, so many great flowers blossomed in the branch of Ramakrishna. And Roland observes, he was very well rooted in the fertile soil of these philosophies. If you look at it from a psychologist's point of view, definitely the early foundations of Ramakrishna was very much impacting his later life. So when he became the chief priest of Rani Rosmani's temple, look at the temple itself. When there was a sectarian divide between different sects, like Shaivas, Vaishnavas, all of them were having difference of opinion. During that period, Rani Rosmani created a temple complex where Radha Krishna, Kali and Shiva are worshipped together. If you go to Dakshineshwar, you can see Kali worshipped by Ramakrishna. Near to that there is a Radha Krishna temple and there are Shivalingas. And this temple was frequented by Sufi mystics, Bauls, and all those people who are interested in spirituality. Definitely Ramakrishna was there. Definitely they will come to see Ramakrishna. So for Ramakrishna, when he found the Mary Immaculate and the Emmanuel, Mother Mary carrying which is still there in his room. I've recently been to there. You could see that picture. Yeah, infant Jesus, Mother Mary holding infant Jesus, which actually moved him. So for him, the mother quotient is Kali. And the compassion he could see in the mother, he instantly wanted to realize what's inside Christianity. At the core of the Christianity. What is the core of its teaching? And he practiced Christianity. He practiced Christianity without any excuse. He was submitting himself to the cause of Jesus. And he realized Jesus. Christianity will take thousands of years to realize Jesus Christ. But Ramakrishna took some days only. That's the level of devotion a tantric has to anything he involves with. Same way, he was informed about the Islam through the Sufi ways. He became a Sufi for some days. During that time, he never visited Ma Kali. He didn't even utter her name. It was only Allah.
Okay.
Within days, he realized the Allah consciousness. It is said that.
And he said it's true.
He said the essence of every religion is same. religion is politics. Spirituality lies in the core heart of it, right? But only a person like Ramakrishna can reach into the core of it.
So when he practiced Islam, he renounced Kali.
He renounced Kali during that time. Yeah. He didn't even utter the word Kali. He didn't even go to the temple.
So that was the demand of Islam.
No, it was not the demand of Islam. That was the demand of him. He wanted to practice it, and he wanted to do it in such a way that nothing should come in between. The one-pointedness. He'll not shift his focus. A highly elevated mind can only do that. So Ramakrishna is indeed a different person. Indeed a tantric of high order. A tantric can only do this. Like Devi says, Sarvam Galyudam Evaham Nanyatasti Sanadanam. Whatever you see is me only. Nothing else. You cannot see anything else than me.
Will disciples of the Ramakrishna order agree with your statement that Ramakrishna was a tantric?
They might agree with me if I say Ramakrishna was a Muslim and Ramakrishna was a Christian, but not tantric. Yeah, because the tantric history of Ramakrishna is wiped off. He was trained under Bhairavi Brahmani, who initiated him to the Vamachara practices of Tantra. In the words of Vivekananda Swami itself, the Ghora and Adigora practices of my master. He did the crematorial practices. He did the skull practices with human skull. He did all the rites in Tantra which a normal human being cannot do. So he indeed was a tantric, then a Vedanti. Definitely Todaburi initiated him to Vedanta, and he asked him to, or he helped him to attain the Nirvikalpa, to cut the Kali and get out of it. But what happened at the end? Ramakrishna had to counsel his master Todaburi about the creative principle of Brahman, which he calls as Kali. Mm-hmm. Ramakrishna was Kali's child. Kali's child is a tantric.
But Swami Vivekananda does not refer much about Tantra in his talks.
That is there. Swami Vivekananda, I don't think he was skeptical about Tantra, but he was very much cautious not to bring Tantra into the public parlance. Because Vivekananda, when he visited West America, before coming back, he writes a letter to Swami Abhedananda, in which he makes this point very clear and sharp, because Abhedananda was a curious guy. He was into Tantra and all those sort of things, consciousness, so many things. He asked Abhedananda to come to USA to continue with the mission what Swamiji started. In this letter, Swamiji advises him not to bring these esoteric subjects to Western audience. And he definitely thought the Western mind was not mature enough to grasp the nitty-gritties of Tantra. And Tantra can be misrepresented, misunderstood in the West. I like to believe it so. Which happened later. If Swami was cautious about this danger, that happened in the later history of Tantra in the West. And also, while writing the biography of Ramakrishna, I forgot his name. I forgot his name. He was writing the biography of Ramakrishna, and he wrote about Bhairava Brahmani's initiation and all those things. And Vivekananda reprimands him to remove all the references about Tantra. And he refers it as Ghora and Adighora practices of my master should be omitted. Maybe he was very cautious about it. Or maybe he thought that the Western audience might take it in a different way. And I believe that it was a need of the hour.
So, tantric practices in India are popular in Bengal, in Kerala, some parts of Karnataka, as far as I know. So, you're from Kerala. So, how is the state of Tantra in Kerala?
The Kerala in Tantra, which we call as Kerala Achara. So, Tantra has different acharas. Kerala Achara. In Kamarupa, there is a system. Kamarupa belongs to Assam, Bengal, and all those regions, the east part of India. In the south, we have Kerala Achara and Kashmira. Kashmira, Kamarupa, and Kerala are very famous in Tantra. Among these three, Bhaskar Raya writes Kerala Achara is supreme. And when you look at Kerala Achara, I'm being very honest about this. If you look at Kerala Achara in Kerala, I don't find a different Kerala Achara in Kerala now. Maybe there was a period where Kerala had its own understanding and perspectives of Tantra. But as of now, it is copying the Dakshinamnaya of the Tripura Paddhati mostly and the Kalikula Paddhati from Bengal. Our own system of Tantra is either lost or in the incognito mode. But people think that people of Kerala are much more into tantric practice. It's in fact a misconcept. People from Kerala might feel it a little. Tantrics from Kerala might feel this comment a little offensive, but that's the truth.
So it's moving from Tamil Nadu to Kerala.
Yeah, because Tamil Nadu to Kerala in the sense Kanji Matha, the Shankara Matha, propagated Srividya worship a lot. And also the tradition of Bhaskar Raya Makhi came to southern part of India. The very famous Rameshwaram Parampara, which became very prominent, of Nilakanta Mahadeva Joshi. This is of Bhaskar Raya Parampara itself. Because of this, Srividya became a very prominent culture. And Kerala kind of adapted that. So if you look at the Srividya tradition in Kerala, most of them are inclined towards the Rameshwaram Parampara. Are into the Bhaskar Raya Makhin's Parampara. So that it's basically taking from there. Apart from that, if you look at the Shabhara practices of Kerala, Shabhara means jungle practices. So Tantra has a jungle version also, Shabhara practices. We have our own Shabhara practices. We call it as in the Malavaras of Kerala. Malavara means the valley of the hills, where people worship. Like Swami Ayyappa is one among them. Now it's almost Vedic and Tantric according to the sanitized Tantra. But he is not worshipped like that in the earlier times. He was worshipped with so many articles which might look obscene in the present scenario.
So when you say worship, are you referring to the Western definition of worship?
Yeah, in temple worship, definitely it is worshipping the God. But when you come to sadhana, worship has a different meaning. That is, as I said, it's a love affair. It's making a communication. That's a different thing. But in temple worship, definitely you are trying to please a deity with certain things and all. You are showing your love, definitely, but you are trying to please. So my point is that the Shabhara systems of Kerala should be revived. Then we can actually talk about Kerala's own Tantra tradition. Otherwise, we are all copying Sri Vidya tradition from other parts of the country still boast about.
Can you talk a little bit about Kashmir Shaivism and why do they use the terminology with reference to Kashmir?
Yeah, as I said, Bengal, we can see the Dakshina Kali, Krama and Kali Kulam and all those things. We talked about it before. And when it comes to Kashmir, Kashmir was always a land of wisdom because Sharada resides there. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmira Puravasini. It is said that. Sarvajna Pida, the highest seat of knowledge is in Kashmir. Shankara mounted on that, right? So, Kashmir was always a land of wisdom. When we talk about Kashmir Shaivism, which was a later term, basically coined after a book named Kashmir Shaivism came into print. Westerners started using Kashmir Shaivism to distinguish it from other types of Shaivism like Tamil Shaiva Siddhanta and Veda Shaivism. Such Shaiva movements are there. To differentiate it from other Shaiva movements, they tried to name it as Kashmir Shaivism. I prefer to call it as Triga philosophy, Triga Darshana, than Kashmir Shaivism. And I think Kashmir Shaivism is a misnomer. Because it was a pan-Indian philosophy, definitely it was preserved in Kashmir. The people of Kashmir had huge respect for that. And there were a great lineage of masters. Vasugupta, like I said, Somananda, Utpala, Vasugupta, Shambhunatha, Abhinavagupta, so many. Kallada, Bhaskara, so many other. Shemaraja, Buddhiraja, Yogaraja, Swami Lakshmanji Maharaj, till him. Swami Rama, Mehtab Kag, so many. Lalleshwari. So many Shaiva masters were in Kashmir. They propagated the ideals of Kashmir, the Shaivism. So that if you call it Kashmir Shaivism, it's okay. But it's not a right name. It's better to call it as Triga philosophy. Abhinavagupta called it as Shadardha. Ardha of 6. That is 3. Trika. That is Pashu, Pasham and Padi. Shiva, Shakti and Nara. The trident.
So when we talk about Tantra, I've heard people speaking about tattvas. So what are these tattvas? Can you elaborate on that?
So tattvas are the principal knowledge anyone should have if they want to study Tantra. For that matter, any spiritual philosophy in India. We call tattvajnani. Tattvajnani is, the literal meaning is a wise person, right? A philosopher, right? Philosophy is also called as tattvajnanam. So philosophy, if you translate into Sanskrit, it becomes tattvajnana. And philosopher is tattvajnani. So if you look at the word meaning, it is the jnana of tattva. The knowledge about tattvas. If you don't know the knowledge of tattva, you are not a philosopher.
What does the word tattva mean?
Yeah, tattva means principles. The principles of Tantra. So when we talk about principles, the first principle is Shiva. Shakti pushes him out and Shiva takes the position of the first principle, the primordial throb, Chid. And the next principle, second one is Shakti, the one who is the cause of this primordial throb. She is also called as Spanda Shakti, energy. And when they were in the Parasamvit form, they were encompassed with 3 forms of energies. One is the energy of will, then the energy of knowledge, then action. So Sadashiva is the third tattva. Ishvara is the fourth tattva. And fifth one is Shuddha Vidya, the action. which means Parasamvit. If this is Parasamvit, Shiva comes out, Shakti comes out, Icha comes out, Jnana comes out, Kriya comes out. Shiva, Shakti, Sadashiva, Ishvara, Shuddha Vidya. This comprises Parasamvit.
The first 5 tattvas.
They are called as Shuddha Tattvas. But can you call these 5 tattvas together? If you put these 5 tattvas together, and can you call it as Parasamvit? No. If they are in Samarasya, Parasamvit is the highest form, where everything is together. I'll explain it. Shiva and Shakti is together in the Parasamvithood. Take an example of white and yellow yolk of a egg. There's a white part and yolk. Consider yolk as Shiva and white as Shakti. If you break that egg and force it down, you can see yolk and egg separate. If you blend it using a blender, can you differentiate the white and yellow from it? Which will be in an eternal blend. Yes, you know that there is white and there is yellow. But it is not. It cannot be distinguished. That is the Parasamvit. That is Samarasya. So in Samarasya, these 5 tattvas were together in eternal blend. But when it takes the form of 5 tattvas, they are all separate. And Shakti pushes Shiva out of it. And thereafter, Sadashiva, Ishvara, Shuddha Vidya, Icha, Jnana, Kriya comes out. As the first manifestation. The 5 tattvas. And from 5 tattvas, the next one is Maya. Because, as I said, Shiva wants to play the Jagadananda, to enjoy the bondage. Shakti, Purushahood. Shakti pulls him down and she it's a makeover as Maya, the villainess in the story. She is assisted with 5 tattvas. They are called as 5 wheels of Maya. Maya is miyate iti Maya. That which makes anything measurable is Maya. Immeasurable Shiva becomes Purusha because of Maya. How is she doing it? Through her 5 wheels. The first wheel is Kala, time. When she brings time into the concept to Shiva, Shiva becomes limited. Like at this particular time, at this particular space, I can sit here. That means at this particular time, I cannot be anywhere. But Shiva was not like that. He can be here and he can be there, omnipresent. But I am not omnipresent. My omnipresence is cut or wheeled by Maya, and I became a limited soul, bound by Maya in the realm of time. That is the temporal reality, created reality. So Kalam is the first one. And Desha, Kala, Desha. Desha is not the second one. Desha is a product of Kala. Physics might disagree with it. For physics, time and space are eternal realities. But in Tantra, it is said that Kala creates Desha in one way. Because I am away from my home. If I take a bus, I am around 12 hours away from my home. If I take a flight, I'll be 20 minutes away from my home. If I have the speed of light, I'm not away from my home. So, Desha is an illusion again, as time is an illusion. So, time is the first one. Kalam, Kala is the next one. Action, limited action. Shiva's unlimited action to do anything is limited to a limited action which can do only certain things. Kala. Then Ragam. Ragam is desire. Shiva has got Icha. And Maya limits it to desire. You got it? Shiva has got the will to do anything. But we cannot do that. We can be desirous. And people has to help us to do certain things. Like that, Maya wields Shiva's Icha and makes it Raga. So Kalam, Kala, Ragam. Next is Vidya. Vidya is knowledge. Knowledge, the unlimited knowledge of Shiva is limited to a particular, limited knowledge. We know certain things only, not everything. And Niyati is fate. We are all bound by fate. When I talk about this, people say, we don't believe in fate. If you believe in fate or not believe in fate, fate is real. I am destined to be at this podcast at this time. So what time it is? Yeah, it's around 7:30. I am here at this podcast at this time in your studio. If I am destined to get an accident at 7:35 at a distance of 30 kilometers from here, I will definitely take a vehicle which will move as fast as that and will get the accident there. In between, there will be a lot of hurdles. I'll cross all those hurdles and be on that space and receive my fate. And we will think, if I was a minute later, that car wouldn't have hit me. But you will not. You cannot make that. You cannot make it possible to make 1 minute late. Why? Because your future is wielded by Vidya. Limited knowledge. You don't understand what is going to happen in the future. You know your immediate present. Your present is your reality. Future is in your imagination. Past is in your memory. Right? You exist here at this particular point of time. You can travel to your past using your memory. But you cannot travel into your future. You can only imagine. Yogis can do that. Because they are sitting on a higher realm. Past, present and future are not wheeled with Maya. They can see what's happening there, what's happening here, what's happening there. If you want me to explain it, I can tell. Think of a tree, a huge tree. On top of it, a person is sitting. And beneath that, another person is standing. Let us call the person sitting on the tree as A, and a person standing beneath the tree B, and a person C is coming from somewhere. The person standing beneath the tree B can see this person C when he reaches at a range where this person can see him. But a person who is sitting on the tree, his visual range is much bigger than B, and he can see the other person coming from very long distance, which the B cannot see. So in B's perspective, C has come from his past and reached his present. That's how he's seeing him. And he walks through his present and goes to the future. Still he cannot see him. He can only see him within a range, which he calls as his present. He can imagine he came from his past. That's how he came. That's how he could see in the present. And he can imagine that he went to his future. That's how he cannot see him. But for A, these 3 levels of time, past, present and future, which B experience is all present.
Because he's sitting on top.
He's still sitting on the top. Yogi is sitting on top. So our past, present and future is not past, present and future of them. That's how they become Trikalatjnani.
That's why the word Trikalatjnani.
So they are beyond Maya.
They have crossed Maya to a level. Yeah. This is it. So Maya with her 5 wheels Purusha. Purusha is wheeled. So Maya plus 5, it's 6. Plus 1, Purusha, 7. 7 Shuddha Tattvas. So 5 Shuddha Tattvas, 7 Shuddha Tattvas. Then what is left? Prakriti. Prakriti is the next Tattva. Then from Prakriti we can see intellect, mind and ego is there. And 5 sensory organs. And sensations. And Panchabhutas. From Akasha to Earth. And our motor organs. So 5 motor organs, 5 sensory organs, 3 internal organs, 5 sensations, 5 Mahabhutas, Akasha to Bhumi, Akasha, sky, space, air, fire, water and earth. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Sound, touch, sight, smell and taste. Eyes, ears, tongue, skin and nose. Hands, legs, mouth, genitals, anus. That becomes the motor organs. Mind, ego, intellect. Prakriti. 23 tattvas. These are the Ashuddha tattvas. So 23 Ashuddha tattvas plus 7 Shuddha tattvas plus 5 Shuddha tattvas makes 36 tattvas. If you learn 36 tattvas deeper, you can learn any tantra. This is the alphabet of tantra.
So if you want to understand the Hindu philosophy, does these 36 tattvas play an important role?
Yeah. Without 36 tattvas, you will not understand anything. If you want to understand Vedanta, you have to learn 25 tattvas of Sankhya. What are 25 tattvas? 23 tattvas in Tantra plus Purusha. If you want to understand Yoga, you should understand the 25 tattvas of Sankhya. If you want to understand Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta, definitely these things are needed. If you want to understand Tantra, you have to understand the 36 tattvas. So this is the base of Indian spirituality. If you look at the nitty-gritties of these 36 tattvas, if you delve into the philosophical meaning of that, you'll get to know higher dimensions and realms of it.
So if somebody wants to learn the 36 tattvas practically, more experientially, what are the steps that one needs to follow?
One needs to find a guru for that. I'll suggest a book for the audience to read. Tantric Quest by Daniel Odier. It's a wonderful book where he was introduced to 36 tattvas by a Bhairavi in a very practical way.
So that could be the start.
Yeah, that the start is definitely, if you ask me which is the best book to read on this, that is Secret Supreme by Swami Lakshmanji Maharaj. If someone wants a little biographical with a personal touch, they can read Daniel Odier's Tantric Quest.
So in tantric philosophies, there is a popular term Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, and also Osho has made it popular with his 112 meditation techniques. And you have been a tantric practitioner yourself, and you have taught us some of those techniques. So can you let our viewers know something about it?
Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is a chapter in Rudrayamala Tantra, where Shiva talks about 112 techniques to raise your consciousness to the Bhairavahood. Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, the word meaning is, it's a technique, Tantra. It's a special technique. It's a Vijnana. Vishesha Jnana is Vijnana. Special knowledge, which makes you Bhairava. So it's a special knowledge which makes you Bhairava. Okay, there are 112 distinct techniques in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. And the format of the text is Bhairavi Bhairava Samvada. Bhairavi talks to Bhairava and Bhairava answers. In the beginning of Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, we can see that Bhairava is talking about the importance of this text, significance of this text. Because he is telling all the other scriptures which he has illuminated, Tantras, Vedas, Puranas, Agamas, everything. are just Gandharva Nagara Brahma, are illusions to make the reader disillusioned in that. Here, in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Bhairava says, this is the only text which will deliver you Bhairavatva.
You can experience.
Yeah. This is an experiential technique. So some of the techniques are already being experienced by us in our daily life. Some people might feel strange when they look at the mirror for some time. I used to get this when I was very small. Now also I get it. When I look into the mirror, I suddenly detaches from my body and I can see me looking at the mirror. The witnesshood I can feel. If you look into the well, a deep well, some people will feel the same thing. At times we understand we are not the person whom we are thinking to be. During heightened emotions, heightened sadness, joy, pleasure, sex, orgasm, we experience a timeless state. That is the Bhairavatva. Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is systematically making use of these techniques. Systematically making use of these techniques. So if audience wants to experience something, I give them a technique. I'm asking them to keep some object in front of them. It's a very non-object to them. Let it be a cup or anything. They can take anything. When they look at them, when I look at that thing, their mind will start answering, this is that.
Like this is a cup.
This is a cup, because they knew it before. As they knew it before, it is telling, the mind is telling it's a cup. If they didn't know what it is, definitely their mind will ask this question, what is this? If it is dark, if an object is kept there, then you can again hear a question inside you, what is that? Then you'll lit up and see, oh, that's a cup. As it is a non-thing, you are not hearing the question because the answer is predominant. That doesn't mean that there is no question. Question is always there. Without question, answer cannot exist. So I'm asking them to intentionally stop intentionally stop the answer coming to them. So keep a cup in front of them, look at that and ask, what is it? Intentionally stop any answer coming to them. Any answer.
How can I do that?
It's very difficult, but it's possible. You have to focus on the question only. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? That's a technique. If you do that, you will feel a stress. I'm asking them to pause at this point, the video, and try it. And if they did it, they will be feeling a kind of stress inside them. If they are asking only the question, if answer is not coming to them, they'll feel a kind of stress. You have experienced the stress now. And if you look at it closely, observe it closely, where is this stress coming from? Because you are suffocating.
Not breathing?
Yeah. Your breath has stopped. I didn't ask you to stop your breathing. But your breath has stopped. That's why you are feeling the suffocation. That is the cause of your stress. And if you want to breathe, you have to take some answer. Then you'll start breathing. Prana is the outward flow of breath. Apana is the inward flow of breath. Prana is Shiva. Apana is Shakti. Prana is question. Apana is Shakti. Jiva. The entire universe is built on this principle. Question and answer. If there is only question, the world cannot move on. It is a pause. It can only move if there is an answer. If there is a question, it creates a lot of confusions,
Okay.
anxiety, trouble, fear in the lower level. In the higher level, it will lead you to consciousness. That's another thing. Samadhi state. And as a concluding remark, in the beginning, we were talking about death, crematorium practices and all of Tantra. And I was talking about death is the most fearful thing for anyone. Why is it the most fearful thing for anyone? Because death is the biggest question ever unanswered. There is no answer. It's the question. What happens after? Nobody came after that and told this happens. No. So that is the point where the fear of death lies. Ignorance about the answer. Why darkness creates fear in you? The question is there. What is there? There's no answer. The moment light comes, you're relieved. Why? Answer comes to you and you're relieved.
This is a technique in the 112 methods.
Yeah. It's stay between the Visha and Amrita. And indeed it is improvised. Not exactly in Vijnana and Bhairava Tantra, which it is improvised from my experience and my understanding of that. But this is a very important technique in Vijnana and Bhairava Tantra. Stay in between Visha and Amrita.
Do you recommend our viewers to practice these 112 meditation techniques on their own?
112 techniques are 112 keys for 112 locks. You can try certain things, but you shouldn't try everything. Some of them are very dangerous. For example, Kalagni Rudra meditation. We did that, right? Remember? You'll start feeling heat, immense heat inside you. I remember doing that in Jammu during winters. And people started complaining me it's too hot. It was winters. It was around 13 degree, 14 degree, I think. And they were all feeling hot. And it can raise the body temperature. There are certain techniques which are very dangerous. So I'll not suggest to do that if you are not guided properly.
So do you recommend our viewers any book that they can read and practice, or maybe know more about the topics that you spoke about?
The topics which I spoke about are from different sources, from my masters, from the books I read, from my experience. So I have combined these all things and I'm writing a book called the Shiva Code, which might release very soon, I don't know. I'm still writing it. This is the first English book I'm writing on. Mostly they are in Malayalam. So this is the first time I'm writing in English. So I think most of the topics I've talked here are covered in the coming book. So I'll let you know when it comes out.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting for people to know more about the amazing topics that you spoke about.
Thank you so much, Ramji. This talk was very interesting and I learned so much from it.
Me too.
Because of the clarity and the in-depth knowledge that you have, I'm sure there were so many more topics that we can dive into and learn from you. So thank you once again so much for your time.
And we hope to see you again.
Namaskaram.
Thank you. Namaste.
This is the final episode in our 3-part series. You can find links to the first and second episodes in the description below. And if you want to receive a special package of the best clips from podcast 1 and 2, we will send it directly to your WhatsApp. Simply message Tantra to this number and you will receive it. And you can keep in touch with us directly. And don't forget to follow Social Vaani for more such videos.